Good morning, everyone. It is a very brisk morning here on day 3. I'm not sure how cold because I don't have one of those newfangled thermometers. All I have is my cell phone, which I just realized is somewhere falling out in my sleeping bag right now. But if I had to guess, I would say somewhere between 35 and 40 Fahrenheit. Anyway, I'm freezing. I don't have winter clothes, so when it gets down to about freezing temperatures, yeah, I wasn't really ready for that. Let's take a look at the fire and see what we're doing here. There's a chance there might be some coals under there. So let me try this the easy way. That's good enough. Now we go to our ultra high-tech invention called the coal rake. So the coal rake works really well. And if you remember all that leftover birch that wouldn't fit in my container yesterday, oh, and you can see I fashioned this bad boy together out of a couple sticks I found in the wild, and I whittled them nice and smooth, fitted them together. Yeah, right. Ow. Oh. Ah. Kind of twisted my ankle yesterday. Ah. Oh. And that really hurt. The way I just put pressure on it. This whole forest is ankle twisting country. That's right, I'm done with this anyway. Yeah, honestly, walking out of here is not going to be the most fun endeavor because it didn't feel like much when I twisted it. I mean, you see my hammock is right here, and I was just kind of coming over like this, and you see that rock and you'd be like, oh, that'd be something to twist an ankle on right there. But nope, I kind of stepped like here, and my ankle just kind of, I don't know, bent the wrong way. It's amazing, you know, I watch out for all these rocks, trying to be super careful, and it's just the smallest thing goes and twists my ankle. Now, it's not bad enough that I need my splint or anything, so I'm not going to bust out my med kit, but still, it's going to make the walk out of here a little bit painful. I'll deal with it when I get home, though. My med kit's more for, like, you know, stuff that would make it so you're really not going anywhere without that med kit. Man, that fire feels warm. Nothing like a nice warm fire on a cold morning, I'll tell you that. Alright. I'm going to warm up, and then I'm going to get some water. Actually, did I save enough water to make coffee? Let's see. Yeah, I was pretty cold last night, actually. I don't know if you guys know anything about hammocks, or in particular my hammock setup, but I don't have an underquilt, overquilt, any of those fancy items. And I did bring a sleeping mat, which makes it so I can sleep in a lot colder weather with the insulation that provides. However, I decided not to set up the sleeping mat. Oh, there's my cell phone. Well, that's a score. Now if I could just find the water that I'm looking for. Found my knife too. Well, one of my knives. That's always good too. But again, it's not my water. Where? Ah, there it is. I feel it. Bear with me. Yes. So anyway, as I was saying, yeah, I don't really have any fancy overquilts, underquilts for my hammock. And I didn't use that sleep mat just because the sleep mat tends to move around in there with a sleeping bag. They're both slippery, so they kind of slip away from each other. So if it's warm enough, I like to just use a sleeping bag. It was fine for night one. Sorry. It was fine for night one, but for last night, oh, it was cold for a while. So I think since it's supposed to get about 20 degrees colder for the next 2 days, and rainy, I'm definitely going to get the sleeping mat in there. Alright, I'm going to warm up, make my coffee. Catch up with you in a bit. Well, it's here, day 3. Bring on the rain. Just as I get my fire going nice. Luckily though, because I wasn't sure if it was going to start raining in the middle of the night, I put up my rain fly and I left it open on one side. That way if if it came down to rain in the middle of the night, all I had to do was hop out and flip it over. So, guess I'm gonna have to do that now. So all I did was I pulled this corner of the tarp back because I don't want the fire too close to it. And I know that won't be enough to hold this, so I'll put another line to a groundhog. So far the pine trees overhead are keeping the rain off me. I didn't have room to pack my frog togs. I really wish I did bring my frog togs though, because I was worried I'm gonna have to hike out of here in the rain. Oh, it's picking up. Not easy to get these groundhogs in. I got an idea. Sorry, fire pit. Need to borrow you. I think that'll work. I think that'll keep it, you know, away from the worst of the sparks and ash, but still keep everything, you know, kind of protected, like my sleep system. Now I just need one more stake over there and I can just run a regular stake. Although I'd like to have it elevated up like this one. I kind of like that. I could sacrifice my fire poker to make another stick like that. All I know is that rain's coming down harder and harder, and I'm not liking it. Good thing I saved some wood. Alright, well, got my rain shelter up. This corner over here, I just pulled over to that little tree right there. The only problem is, it's mostly on the shot cord, so if it gets windy, I'm going to have to replace that with a static line like paraline, or static line like paracord. And over here, I was hoping this corner would have been lifted up a little more, but that's kind of a chintzy little stick there, so I grabbed this one. This is a nice straight birch, and this ought to get that corner up something much higher. First things first, I had to sit down. Still haven't had my coffee. I went and got water though. Yay! Water. Alright, so I got some water. I can make coffee. Just got to get some batteries charged up and we'll be good to go. And I need to throw some bigger wood on there so all the rainwater doesn't keep getting to my coals. But oh, I also took down my bear bag, my bear hang, because there was some stuff in there I didn't want getting wet. Mainly my hot cocoa. This would have been 2 trips in a row where all my hot cocoa got ruined. I was not having that. Oh no, my saw's in the rain. And my axe. I gotta fix that. Day 3, processing firewood tip. So, still raining, but that doesn't mean I can stop processing firewood. So I'm going to show you a quick trick that I do to process my firewood a little quickly. Okay, let me make sure I get all this in frame. Well, I'll just have to use this area here. And everything's wet. I like to wear just little gloves like these. Alright, so I got a piece like this. You know, a lot of it's thin, some of it's a little thicker. You know, you wouldn't want to try to break that over your knee. And yeah, I could just go and break this over my knee or whatever. This thinner part. What I've found is just the quickest way to do this. It's just to simply okay, so now when you get to that point where it won't break like that, I switch to the rock in the tree. Oop, don't fall over. Make sure you have a good backstop behind you. There you go, quicker than taking out a saw or an axe. Because hey, the less time you could spend processing firewood, the more time you could spend enjoying your fire, even if it is raining out. Oh, one more thing about processing that firewood quickly. It is quick just to use your knee, but trust me, from somebody who spends generally 5 to 7 days at a time out here, after about 4 days of that, you'll notice your knee starts to get sore, and then you got to switch to the other knee, and it's just why, as long as you have a nice little tree nearby, just snap it right over that, save you a little bit of pain towards the end of the trip. One more tip about that quickly processing firewood also. When you're doing that, try not to do it at eye level. For one, you can get splinters in your eye, but two, it's not a natural like that bench press motion. It's a little bit easier when your arms are lower. I find I get more force when my arms are just a little more like chest height, and it's safer. So try it out. So I'm sitting here chilling by the fire in the rain. Finally got my coffee made. Rain's coming down pretty good. I want to raise this corner up to where like that one is. Like if I hold the camera level, you can see that's the one I want raised up and back from the fire pit. So that little tiny stick that I put there ain't doing nothing. So I got this big birch that I'm gonna set up instead. That should get this thing way up in the air, give me some headroom. I'll be able to put my chair, my Bushcraft chair, like here, be able to sit there, enjoy the warmth of the fire, but still be out of the rain. And more importantly, not have to risk that silicone tarp getting holes in it. Although, with it soaking wet, I think the sparks might have a hard time burning through it anyway, but... And it is chilly right now with this rain and the fact that I'm soaking wet. But at least I got my coffee. I had a weird encounter last night. I don't think it's going to show up on camera. I heard something moving from this direction over here. Sorry, I can't point very well, but so from this direction kind of over here, and it wasn't very close. So I shined my spotlight out there right about in this direction, just past the fire pit, and you can see there's a lot of trees and shrubs blocking my view. Because I was looking at it, it sounded about 75 yards away, and all of a sudden my light hits this one little gap in the trees, and I see these two bluish white glowing eyes just staring at me. Again, about 75 yards away. So I'm watching, and if I moved my head even just like a little bit, it would disappear. So it was only like a tiny, tiny little hole that I could actually see this thing, the eyes from. Sat there and watched each other for about 5 minutes. I kept trying to film it to try to get the eyes on camera, but I don't think it came through. I'm going to have to review the footage. But that was interesting. And eventually I was just like, I started clapping I clapped my hands a few times and said, "Get out of here." But then what disturbed me is that it ran this way, closer to where my food stash was. I'm like, no, don't go that way. I don't think it was a bear though, because bears are generally pretty quiet, from my experience. This sounded more like a deer or a fox, maybe a coyote. I don't know. Or I don't know if they got any kind of large cats in the Catskill Mountains. You know, it sounds funny, right? You'd think the Catskill Mountains, they would have cats. But yeah, I honestly don't know if they have any large cats here. I'm pretty sure they got bobcats, because I know a guy down in Windham who shot a bobcat, so. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting little encounter. I'll get back to you when I develop a plan for today. Guys, I had to show you this because I just found the most perfect piece of wood for a time like when it's raining and you're trying to maintain a fire. I found it basically way down that mountainside there. And while it was not fun hauling this thing back up there in the wet leaves, slippery rocks, and rain, look at this piece of wood. I mean, obviously, this right there, that's just good wood. But all this, one might think, oh, well, that's all rotted. Well, actually, that's pretty good wood. That's solid stuff. So what I can do is I'm gonna burn all my other wood that you see I got drying out here on the sides and everything. I'll burn all that up. And once like it looks like that's burning out, if the rain hasn't let up yet for me to go get firewood, I'll take this and just lay it right over the top. And that'll contain my fire, keep it safe from the rain, keep it smoldering until I get enough wood, get back. So yeah, if you can ever find something like that, it makes a great way to protect your fire while you're away in the rain. So what I'm going to do now is carve up this birch and replace this little short stick with this nice long birch and raise this whole corner up. I'm going to need a point on one end so that I can drive it into the ground. Oh boy. Ugh. That rain's coming down, but I think that's sharp enough it'll go into this soft ground. So it's morning of day 3. I have had my coffee, and that gave me some motivation to update my castle. Pretty nice, huh? See, because that fire's so close, now I just folded that one corner that would normally come, you know, way out over here basically. Folded it back, tied it up over there, which actually was nice because it lifts up that part of the roof a little bit. And yeah, I just basically put a little tension on this side of the stick, put a little tension on that side, and even though I can't get that thing to bury into the ground more than 3 inches, it doesn't really need to. All it needs is, you know, to stop in case somebody were like, you know, kick the bottom. You don't want the bottom to kick out. But that should be good, and now I could probably set up my Bushcraft stool, move it right here, be protected under my rain cover, and warm up by the fire in case, you know, because I'm going to need to get more firewood soon. There's no doubt about that. Definitely don't have enough firewood to last a day. So, we'll see. I know there's lots around. It's just how much can I gather quickly before I get too soaking wet. I don't have any kind of rain gear. I really wanted to bring my frog togs, but I decided to go with this smaller backpack, and this just barely fit everything I needed because of this darn hammock system. Ugh. I mean, don't get me wrong, the hammock's nice, but it does have its drawbacks. For one, it weighs just over 7 pounds for the hammock and the rain fly, whereas I could just bring my oilcloth tarp, and that's barely 5 pounds. And the oilcloth tarp takes up, you could roll it up into a little cylinder, and it takes up probably, I don't know, not much bigger than a 32-ounce water bottle. It's like a little shorter, a little fatter. So I can get to fit more in the pack, and the pack is lighter. But I didn't want to sleep on the ground this weekend. It was going to be in the 70s. Well, not here in the mountains, but I knew it was going to be in the warmer side of things, and I didn't want creepy crawlies crawling on me. That's why I prefer winter camping. So, I'm gonna think about breakfast. Breakfast and firewood, those are my two goals right now. Food and wood. So, still raining. Doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon, judging by the sky. Whoa. It's pretty much just gray everywhere. Oh, one thing though, about being out in the cold and the wet, I want a nice big fire. I mean, this fire is not protected, it's just getting rained on. Well, that's not true. It's got some protection from the trees overhead. It's kind of like this whole spot in general has some coniferous cover. Unlike, for example, if I were to go to a spot over here, I'd have no cover. So it's nice here. It makes it a little darker, you know, quicker in the evening times, but I don't really mind that. So right now I'm gonna let this fire die down a little, at least a little, and then I want me some hot cocoa. Yeah, if it's late, I'll have hot cocoa. If it's early, I'll have hot cocoa mixed with coffee. Make myself a cool little latte. Chocolate latte. I don't know, the fire, it might be a while before it's ready to cook on, but I'm starved. And I got some good meals left. I know I had my buffalo mac and cheese already, but I got other goodies in there too. I got I don't even know. I'm gonna have to look. But that's gonna take a while for that big one to burn down. But I think I can still boil enough water for some coffee or cocoa just by, I'll take this little rock here and just kind of slide it, nudge it over here. Well, that should be alright. Anywho, blah blah blah. Actually, I'm going to input a picture of how I have my meals spread out. Input picture here. I love my corned beef hash. So I guess it's a question of, in fact, let me see what time it is. It is 3 p.m. That sounds like breakfast time to me. I gotta have eggs and corned beef hash. I don't really, only really dirty is 2 pans, which, oh man, I never did the dishes from yesterday because it was raining the second I got out of bed. I'm very lucky that I set up this tarp the way I did last night. Like, I didn't draw out the front, I just drew out the ridge line, and then I attached all 4 corners behind the tarp. That way, if I had to get up and it was raining, I could just quickly unhook the front corners, bring them over, run a groundhog stake it, and get myself out of the rain. I figured it was a pretty clever idea, while still allowing me to, you know, see the full moon, see the stars. Oh man, it got chilly last night though. Tonight I'm definitely using my sleep mat. I need that R value underneath me. My backside was, and I don't, my backside, I don't mean my rump, I mean my whole my whole backside. Everything that was touching the hammock was pretty cold. So yeah, I'll definitely use a sleep mat tonight. Alright, I am exhausted now. I went, here's my campsite. I did not have to go very far. If you see, there's a really big log right there laying down. Well, just past that, there's a little hill. And I found some really nice starts here. And it's all oak. That's another piece. And then that's the base of the tree, right down to the roots. And I actually like getting those root bundles because they burn for a good long time when you throw them in there. So I got that whole tree, and well, at least it was dry before I dragged it through the muck. But yeah, that'd be good wood. See, I was kind of facing a dilemma. I didn't have much wood left, and I was thinking to myself, sorry, had to clear the water off my tarp. I gotta figure out something so it drains better. Ooh. So I was thinking, I'm gonna run out of wood. I'm either just gonna have to hunker down, but I know it's supposed to be pretty cold tonight though. So it was either hunker down or quick go get firewood now, even though it's raining, and then just build a big enough fire to dry off before I have to go to bed. But anyway, it's got to be 4 or 5 o'clock. I still haven't made myself any food today. So I'm going to build the fire up, dry off, then I'm going to let it die down a little, cook, smoke. Yeah. So that's my plan. I got all that one that I grabbed as like a rain cap. It was pretty easy to cut in half because it wasn't very thick, but if the rain starts getting heavy again, I got